Welcome to this edition of the Million Dollar Mastermind podcast. This is where we pick the brains of high achievers from all walks of life and get their hard-earned, real-world insights on winning. I'm your host, Larry Weidel. Welcome, Joel Yi. Hello, Joel.
Hey, Larry. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on. Excited about this from Vancouver.
Yes, sir. Vancouver, Canada.
We're going coast to coast, and Joe, who's monitoring things, is in Ireland. So we're from Ireland to Palm Beach, Florida to Vancouver. Nice. So we've got the globe covered, or at least part of it. Yes. And the point of that is people all over the world want to do something big, and they're looking for answers. And it's amazing to me how strong that desire is in so many people, because that desire is what fuels accomplishment, because it fuels people looking and for answers, the right people to follow, and causes them to pay attention when they do find it and actually use it, and without that drive, it's just going to be too hard. And so thank goodness there are people like you and the people that listen to you and work with you around the world, because this is where all of the great things in the future are going to come from. It's coming from the driven people who they just feel like there's more out there. They want to do something special with their life. They want to make an impact. And they look at other people and they say, they're special, but I could be special too. And so they just need some direction. So congratulations for getting off to such an amazing, productive start early in your career. So let's dig into how that happened. But let's just give people a taste. Some of what do you think are your biggest accomplishments? So as a background, you do have 7 years of time with the Army Reserve, or
correct, the U.S. Army Reserve,
and the U.S. Army Reserve, and that's been a big piece of your formative experience. And we don't talk about that enough. I think about what a value that can be to people in terms of to get some discipline in your life. You don't have to sign a 4-year commitment. You can actually get in the reserves.
Exactly.
And you can kind of pick up a lot of those things without throwing your whole 4 or 5 years of your future, locking it up, Absolutely. But so we want to tap into that. But, you've got a lot of accomplishments, but how do you get on the Forbes Council, whatever what is that? You're on the
Forbes Business Council.
Yeah. How do you get on that?
You have a company that does over $1 million in revenue. You go through an application. I did this a while ago. I believe there's an interview because I've done a few. And then once you're approved, you're in. But they check based on your merit and the businesses that you've run and what you can bring. So it's not about just taking, right? It's about what you can give, what you can bring to the table for the rest of the members too.
And what is the table? Once you get in, what happens? What do you do?
So you are in a forum with other Forbes Council members. So you can send direct messages to people. You can connect. You can write articles. You can answer questions. You can get them published. So it's really a place where you can speak your thoughts as an expert and share, your insights.
Sounds like a high-level LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it. Yeah.
And you can apply for it. That's the one thing people like me who've never even thought about it was like so many of these awards out there are you can apply for them. I thought they all came looking for you, but it's just like no, you have to raise your hand and say, "What about me? Look at me over here in the corner."
Right. Well, you have to pass your application process too. But yes, you apply and you go through the interviews.
And so, how did you hear that you could even do that?
I work with, so I have a PR guy. His name is Ulysses, and he actually works with a lot of entrepreneurs. And basically, they have different aspects of PR, right? They have press releases, articles, podcasts, TV shows, awards, stage speaking events. groups like these, right? Like the entrepreneur.com, the Inc. group, the Forbes group. And basically, not all of them you can apply for. Some of them you have to be selected, right? But the ones that you do qualify for, you can try your best to apply and make it through. But I heard it from him.
And it shows me that you were looking ahead, looking forward to even have a PR guy. How'd you get a PR guy? How'd you find out about Ulysses?
It's funny, Larry. I was at an event last October in Miami. One of my mentors, his name is Jeremy Haynes. He runs media buying, Facebook ads agency, right, for clients. And Ulysses spoke at that event. And when I heard about it, I realized one thing, which is like, this is true of the internet marketing space of the world that I'm from, right? Is that there are so many people, we call them the experts, the unknown experts, right? Which is actually not a good thing because, people are so good at what they do, but because they have no visibility, the world can't see their true potential, can see their value. And so I didn't want to be an invincible expert. I wanted to be a visible expert. Yeah. So that's how I got connected with Ulysses. Yeah.
And the sign that he was probably pretty good at his job is the fact that he was speaking on stage and he was promoting himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so you like to find successful leaders to follow.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of the guesswork about whether or not I should pay attention to this person or not, Yeah.
And to be fair, he's worked with some of the biggest names, right? Like Ed Milet, Josh Snow, right? Rudy Moore, some of the biggest entrepreneurs in our space.
Yeah, unbelievable. Well, let's get going on how you got, what I see about you is you've been able to compress into the early years, which are difficult to make a lot of progress in the early years of your career because most of us are trying to learn the basics. We're really not sure what we want to do. We're making our contacts, getting the experience. Basically, we're in a survival mode, and trying to make our mark, climb up. We don't know what that means. But in terms of doing the things, the variety of things that you've done, you've made a lot happen in a short period of time. And what that's done has equipped you for a lifetime of being able to use that experience in those contacts.
Yes.
And so, that's incredible advantage. So how did this get going?
Wow. I'll share with you the story of how I got started, which is a pretty fun story. I think it will resonate with a lot of people. I do now, before I share that story, I did want to add one thing that you said, which is really important. There is, at least in my experience now, there is that benefit of not necessarily being in survival mode, because it's not good to be desperate and chasing sales, right? But
sometimes you have to.
What I've learned is that in a part of my career, what I did wrong was I tried to elevate my lifestyle too quickly, right? When you start getting success in your head, I'm going to buy this fancy thing. No, that's not good. So what I've learned now is like, I'm more mature. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to live my life at a very certain level, and I'm not going to increase it. But it's not that I'm in survival. I'm just living in a way where I'm okay. I'm happy with what I have.
Right.
So I learned happiness is a trainable skill. I used to think that people could be born happy or not happy, but I think you could actually train happiness. So I've learned to flex my happiness muscle, to be content with where I am. I think that's pretty key to being successful, right? In this space.
Yeah. For those of you who are sick and tired of fooling around and are dead serious about wanting to move up fast, I've got something especially for you. I've combined the best insights from over 40 years in business and making $70 million in income and compressed them into a free webinar. That's right, it's a free resource. If you want to find out exactly what the concepts are that I use in coaching $1 million earners, register now at WeidelOnWinning.com. You'll discover the 5-part framework used by so many to reach their financial, personal, and professional goals. You can find that link in this episode's show notes. And the survival mode is full, you got food, shelter, clothing for you and the people that depend on you for support. But that doesn't mean you have to be a wild consumer so that survival level food, shelter, and clothing is a penthouse in the biggest city in town. And, nothing but the most expensive restaurants and everything.
Right.
The thing is, you like to build your net worth as once you get that income and everything, you get the basics covered to give yourself financial independence, because that frees up your thinking. Now you can relax and know that you're going to be able to survive and in my case, feed my family, which is important. You want them to be able to get the groceries and have the clothes and everything like that. But then when you get extra income, you pass that threshold, the more and the quicker you can get a nest egg built up and starting to accumulate, that gives you a peace of mind starts to get over. And then you're able to think about, what do I really want to be doing with my life? What's valuable to me? And to me, that's what winning is. That's why I make it a big deal of this. Is like winning can be working at a charity. It could be, some people, they're motivated by helping other people. We have a guy down the street from where I live, Jack the Bike Man. And he's built for the last 25, 30 years, he's raised money. He's, he looks like a homeless guy, basically, in terms of his clothing and his personal car. He doesn't spend money on that, but he has this massive empire he's built up of where they get used bikes, repair them, and then turn them out back into the neighborhoods and everything. But that's his motivation, not
Absolutely.
And so it can be whatever your motivation is to be winning. It's like, are you doing what you want to do with your life? When did you get to the point now where you started to get decisive about choosing this, choosing that? And because you don't have this kind of results, you don't make this kind of progress by accident. There's a design. There's a design and a discipline. And so talk about how you got going. What was your want to, and what age were you,
Yeah. So we're talking about the design of what significance means to me personally. Is that the question? Yeah.
No. What was motivating you? And what was motivating you when you got started to say, okay. Yeah. I'm a nobody. I'm a young kid. I'm coming up. I've got to make my mark. What was your drive?
This is great. I'm glad you asked it. So you don't know this, Larry. I don't think many people do. I'm actually an immigrant to the country. Now, when I say I'm an immigrant, I'm an immigrant.
Okay, you got to get out. You've let the secret out. You got to leave now.
Right, exactly. Not my parents, right? I'm not first generation. I am the immigrant. So I immigrated here to the U.S., but
you immigrated.
Wow. I immigrated. Yeah, I'm alone. I got married a few years ago, but my family's not here. My family's back in Malaysia.
Really? Congratulations.
Yeah. But this is the turning point in my life. So when I was born and raised in Malaysia, I got a chance to come to the U.S. back in 2012 when I was 16. Wow. And when I came to the U.S., I was just like an ordinary international student. I just wanted to come and get a college degree and, maybe one day go back home and do something back home. But here's the turning point. When I came to the US and I met my, fellow American peers, right? So I actually came to the US. So I live in Canada now, but I'm from the US. So this is where the story gets a bit interesting. But when I came to the US and I met my American peers, the one thing I realized that really blew my mind was how much opportunity and blessings that the American people had in front of them. And what was shocking to me was comparing myself going from a developing country, right? Like in Malaysia to America, how few people took advantage of this situation. How few people
played. What was your age?
I was 16 when I came to the US.
So we're still 16. And how did you immigrate by yourself? I mean, you're leaving parents. I mean, how because when you go at 16, this has been developing for a few years. This is not like, okay, I'm going to the United States tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? There's things have been simmering inside of you. Situations have been going on for years. You have to set this up.
To be fair, I just wanted to leave home. I grew up in a very strict, restrictive Asian household, like very controlling. I had to get perfect grades. So the moment I had a chance to leave my home, I just left. So it wasn't like I was trying to be big or anything. I was trying to leave, trying to get out. Yeah. And so
were there many other brothers and sisters there?
I'm the only child.
Oh.
Yeah. But this is
the only child and you left. Good Lord. Your parents are over there in withdrawal.
This is how I closed. This is how I convinced my mom. My dad was okay. My mom, it was hilarious. So I think you know this, Larry. You probably heard the stereotype that every Asian kid will become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. That's it. Okay. Yeah. Now, in order for me to get my mom's approval to come to the US, I told her I was going to be a doctor.
Okay.
That's what made her go like, okay, fine. If that's the case, I'll let you go. Now, she cried for like 6 months after she left me, right, in the US. But to answer your question, how I immigrated was back in 2019, 3 years after I got to the US. The US government, back then it was Obama, he reopened a program called the Military Accession Vital to National Interest. It's an Army-specific program where, they allow foreign nationals. You have to meet two criteria. You have to be either a medical professional, which I wasn't, or you had to speak a foreign language that they needed. So I spoke a foreign language that the military needed, and so I enlisted, and I became a U.S. citizen. Fast track. Through that, that's it. That's how I immigrated here.
Congratulations. And so you had to have your antenna up. How long did this whole process take?
Oh, man. So I heard about this program in 2015, probably in early 2015. I enlisted June 8th, 2015. I went to basic training February 2016, and I became a U.S. citizen April 2016. So in less than a year, I went from being a Malaysian citizen to becoming a U.S. citizen.
Wow.
Crazy fast. Yeah. Crazy fast.
And so citizenship was part of the deal. You're not getting like a green card or citizenship.
Yeah. Right? We skipped the green card process. It was unheard of.
Yeah. And so you've already demonstrated early on your ability to sell and talking your mom into, and your instincts. And figuring out the doctor is the way I can sell this thing.
Yes. Absolutely. That was it. And I never became, I'm not in medicine, right? I did not do that, right?
I won't tell her. Did you, was there a program with the military where you could have possibly gone in and they would have put you through school and become a doctor or something like that? Was that part of the con for your mother or something like that?
Oh no, when I came to the US and before I joined the military, at that point I think she already knew that I wasn't going to do medicine, right?
Okay. All right.
Now she was terrified though when I told her I want to join the US military, obviously, right? She was terrified. But thankfully, everything has gone well so far. I also did go to, speaking about paying for tuition in school, I actually joined ROTC or ROTC back in my university. And that's where I became a commission officer, and they paid for my bachelor's degree.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. So when you're in school, what does it dawn on you want to study?
This is the part where, like I said, it was funny because initially I told my mom I wanted to do medicine. So I started biology, organic chemistry. I hated it. And I was like, okay, this is not going to work for me. I'm going to switch to communication. And you should look at the expression of my mom's face when I told her that over Skype or Zoom back then.
Really?
She was like, she was mad. She was pissed. Like, you told me you're coming to the US to be a doctor and now you're going to be a communications major? It was bad, right? It was bad. But she finally accepted it, right? Yeah. But yeah, I did communications as my first bachelor's. And then when I went back for ROTC at the military, I had to stay for another extra year with the military. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to pick another degree, like a double major. So I majored in computer science.
Yeah.
Communication and computer science on my bachelor degrees.
Okay. And so as you're getting out now, how soon is our ideas crystallizing in your mind about the real direction you're going to go? What intrigued you specifically? You know, what did you like and what did you not like?
Yeah, well, this is what I didn't like. When I graduated and I commissioned as an officer in the National Guard, in the reserves, right? I needed to get a full-time job, right? A full-time paying job, because obviously my military service was only part-time. And the biggest piece that I didn't like was when I was applying for jobs, I only got job offers that were wanting to pay like $40K a year. That was it. And I thought to myself, there is no way my parents sent me all the way to this country, borrowed thousands of dollars from my uncle, and I had to go get scholarship, go and spend 5-6 years in school to then come and get a $40K a year job. Right? I knew there had to be a different way.
Right.
Like, I wasn't trying to be rich at that point. I was just trying to this is just too little. Like, and that's when my journey into entrepreneurship started. Right. That was the turning point.
Yeah. And I might as well ask you now. In your Instagram, you have entrepreneur and then Christian, I guess, or Jesus. Jesus.
Yes.
Entrepreneur and Jesus and a cross emoji. Why is that?
Yeah. So a big part, and this is part of the story I want to share, is that I grew up in church, but in the early years of my life, especially as a teenager, I did not have a relationship with God myself personally, right? It wasn't until a few years ago, again, when I'm more mature, I look back and I realized literally all of the blessings and the reason I am who I am today and where I am today and why I'm even here is thanks to God. And so now I've made it a passion for me to share the good news when it makes sense to people that are willing to hear. Because people ask me, well, Joe, how did you become like that? How do you get so successful? What do you and I'm like, it really isn't me, right? I give thanks to a higher being. And in this case, it's Jesus and God. Yeah.
Well, there's a congratulations on reaching that level of maturity at an early age again, because there are people that are 90 to 100 years old that have not reached that level of wisdom.
I appreciate that, Larry.
They don't realize, wait a minute, there's something else going on here than just you,
Right. Yeah, it's not me. I can tell you for a fact it's not me. I'm just allowing him to use me as his vehicle.
Thanks for listening to the Million Dollar Mastermind. If you felt there were any valuable takeaways from this episode, please take a minute and leave us a 5-star review. Your feedback is important and really helps us get the word out to a wider audience. Remember, we have a valuable webinar that is absolutely free. Register for it right now at WeidelOnWinning.com. Thanks for listening.